Hey everyone, how's it going today? Coach Alvarez here, back at you with another episode of Coffee with Coach. Hope you're up doing well. Got the mind in the right place. If not, as always, let's put it in the right place. So today I want to share with you guys a little bit of this video I've been listening to, the podcast all morning. It's Jocko Podcast 189 with Dave Burke. I've shared some videos, some episodes about Dave Burke before, but the title is Adaptability is the law that governs survival in war and in life. All right. So, of course, that grabbed my attention because, it just did. So, again, Jocko Podcast, episode 189 with Dave Burke. Adaptability is the law that governs survival in war and in life. Okay. So, again, the beauty about these podcasts that I just enjoy so much every morning is that they just relate everything in combat to life. And of course, these guys do jiu-jitsu. And so they relate it to jiu-jitsu, and they're always talking about jiu-jitsu and how that relates. And it just all comes in full circle. And so I can relate to at least those portions of it. Problems in life and jiu-jitsu. Was never in the military. So of course I can't say I can relate to that part, but the other parts, it makes sense because they put it in perspective with other things in life and in jiu-jitsu. So it all comes together, right? So adapt and survive, or don't and die. These guys are talking about what they were doing in this podcast where they were reading. Let me just go back to my. They were reading a manual from the Marines about, I think it's chapter 5, called Adaptability. And what was funny is this guy, Dave Burke, he's like, when he first read this manual, he just had to read it to take a test. And he just was looking for the answers and really wasn't trying to absorb the information. He just wanted to pass the test. Years later, he's like, man, of course, being foolish, he's like, I wish I would have really tried to absorb what this manual was trying to tell me versus trying to just get through it and pass the test. I could have learned a lot more, a lot sooner. And I think we can all relate to that in anything where we're trying to take a test on something and we just don't really care about that subject and we just want to get it over with, when we could actually have learned quite a few nuggets in there and pick something up that we could utilize later on in life. But instead, we just look for the answers so we can just get it over with. But anyways, they're talking about, of course, in combat, like there's standard operating procedures, SOPs, and they're talking about in business too. So I can relate to this stuff because I have a business and this stuff all relates. So they have this echelon front, so they help businesses. So again, jiu-jitsu, life, business, combat, war, it all comes together. And that's what they're talking about. They're talking about how, like, if you just stick to your SOPs, your standing operating procedures all the time, and don't adapt to the things that are happening in real life time, like in combat, you might have these things that your objective that you're trying to do, this mission that you're trying to achieve, but there's going to be things that come in to play that you did not expect, or maybe have some kind of contingency plan for them. Then you have to adapt, and you got to adapt quick. And you got to adapt on the fly and think on the fly and make adjustments to survive, to get you and your men out of there, or you and your business out of the position that it's in, or you and your, just you alone in the life, in your life, that kind of maybe either you put yourself in this position versus, like I said before, self-inflicted wounds, or life just threw you some curveballs and you just weren't ready for that. And now you have to adapt and adjust. Where I deal with a lot of people, when I talk to them, they can't handle that. They break down, they cry. Again, you got to cry, let it out. And then it's time to make a move, right? Like, you don't get anything out of crying and then not do anything after that, thinking someone's going to come and save you. Only you can save you. So you have to adapt. You have to adjust. You got to deal with it, and just life in general, right? People are going to do things. People are going to say things. People are going to turn their back on you. People are they're going to change. their loyalty to you is only there for as long as they need you, and then once they done using up what they need to use from you, then the loyalty no longer is there. So you have to adapt to those kind of things. You have to adjust. You have to, so many things where life is going to give you, some problems. You have to adapt. Someone said something to me yesterday, like, what was the phrase? Something in the sense like, I don't know, I'm just tired of adulting, like, and I just looked at them like they were crazy. Like, man, if you're tired of that and you're in your 20s, like, good luck for the rest of your life, because adulting is adulting. Like, it's going to be those, you're going to deal with these problems, whatever the problem that they were dealing with and whatever else, until you die, So if you can't adjust in your 20s or 30s or whatever you're at in your life now, man, good luck, because you're just always going to have a hard time. And that's where most people do. They're not able to adapt and survive. They do the opposite. They basically just start to slowly just die because they can't handle the things that life is bringing their way, And I got to kind of cut this short because I got to get up to the academy and get some weight training in before class. But I'll relate this to jiu-jitsu. Yesterday I was having a talk to my students because I always ask, if you have any questions after class, I'm here to answer them. So ask them. And of course, someone asked me a question about getting out of side control. Okay, which is a very common question. If you're a coach, then obviously like that's just a very common question. And they were like, well, I'm trying this and I'm trying that, and that isn't working. And I'm like, well, what was happening before that? Like, how did you get in side control? Like, how did you get your guard pass? The answer isn't like, how do I get out of it? It's like, how do I prevent it? Like, did you adapt? Like, how many times have you had your guard pass in that same way without you adjusting, without you adapting? And they just kind of looked at me like, because that's not really the answer they wanted to hear. They want to know how to get out of side control. But I'm trying to help them with that by reverse engineering and going back some steps and like, well, what's happening with your guard that you are allowing that to even happen in the first place? So we need to fix those things. We need to adapt. We need to adjust. We need to go back and see exactly where the problem was at ahead of time and fix that, shut that down so that those things don't happen to you anymore. But that's always going to be, at least for me as a coach with all these years of experience dealing with students, is those kind of things, not being able to adapt, okay? Not being able to adjust when you're supposed to adjust. And how do you do that? You ask questions, you learn, you try to get the answers that you need to get those questions answered so that you can get those problems solved. So just like anything else, when I'm listening to this stuff, again, it just all relates, because in business, because they were talking about business too, this is a very long podcast. It's like 2 hours or something long, whatever. If you don't adapt with your business, it's going to die, So I can relate to that. So anything that you're dealing with right now, you have to be able to adapt to it, and survive through it. If not, it's just like anything else. You always hear that phrase, survival of the fittest. And if you're just not one of those ones that are willing to make the necessary adjustments to get through whatever it is that you're going through, because you're going to go through some stuff, then you're going to just always struggle and have a very hard time. I mean, like, life is hard enough as it is, right? Like, jiu-jitsu is already like really tough. Like, business, having your own business is like really tough. Like, everything is just going to be tough. But what are you doing mentally, first off, to be able to prepare yourself to make, to adapt to the things that are happening to you? So these things, when I listen to them every morning, they just really, really help, because whatever I'm going through, I'm just like, yeah, man, you just got to suck it up and you got to deal with it and you got to figure it out. And like, these guys are talking about contingency plans and like all these things to like figure it out, adapt, like improvise, cover and move. The other one is they use is prioritize and execute. Figure out what needs to be handled first. Okay, prioritize that and then execute on it, and then go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing until you're able to get yourself out of the position that you're in. So it's always going to be tough. It's never going to be easy, but you can handle those problems if you have the right mentality of like, yeah, man, this is life, this is the way it's always going to be. I accept that. I understand that. And I'm just going to always have to adapt and improvise and figure my way out of these situations that either I put myself in because I made a mistake, or two, life just brought my way and I really wasn't ready for it, but it's all right because I'm going to figure it out. And with that attitude, you'll be able to get through anything versus just turning the lights off, going into the room, pulling the covers over your head, and then just hoping one day things will just go away because they're not, especially that way. So anyways, got to head out, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Catch you guys on the next one. You have a great day. We'll see you.